Hey everyone, welcome back, and in this video let's just talk a little bit about Next.js edge functions, middleware functions, and how does that work out on vercel on Next.js with examples, with things which are very practical and very hands-on.
If you're new here, make sure you leave a like, subscribe to the channel and hit the bell icon. This is free of cost and helps the channel grow.
So Next.js, or vercel I should rather say, released something known as middlewares, support for middleware functions in vercel, which allow you to manipulate the already generated page or already generated response on the fly. What does that mean? That means that you can serve different people different things depending on their geolocation, or even in general, because if you're running an A/B test, for example, you can do that. So let's take a look at how this works in general and how you can get started with middlewares and what are the pros and cons for this. So we're going to be starting off with Next.js own example in the edge functions repository in the edge functions directory. So if you don't know how Next.js works, you should have a quick refresher, quick 101, and that is that you have to put any sort of file, a TypeScript, a JavaScript file inside your pages folder, and that will automatically become a page. So in this case, you can see inside pages folder in Power Parity Pricing project, we have three files, _app.tsx, and _ files are a little bit special. So this app.tsx file would boot up everything from starting from layout, and then it will just use the components. Then we have this country.tsx file, which is a dynamic file. What does this mean? This means that it picks up a specific country or a specific string from the path and then uses it. In our case, for example, this country would be, if I'm visiting this website /in or this website /us, then that particular string would become the country string. I fetch it from here, from this params over here. Nope, not here. From here, from params.country, and then we can use it in the main component file itself. But with Next.js 12, we have another special file called as _middleware.ts. Now, this might seem like a simple file structure, but there's a lot happening when you deploy it on vercel or any platform which supports middlewares. So this _middleware.ts file, you can see we get request.geo.country and we lowercase it, or we just say US, and then we are done with it. We just set request next URL path name as the country. So what effectively is happening over here, if you take a look at the documentation, you will realize that vercel and Next.js exposes a couple of things, a couple of APIs, which includes the geo object, for example, to get the location of the user where they are browsing from, and then a couple of APIs on the request object and the next response object itself that allows you to modify or manipulate the paths, the responses on the fly. So effectively what's happening over here is that we just say that, okay, I'm gonna go ahead and let's say if I visit codedamn.com, I'm gonna redirect the user internally to codedamn.com/in. When I say internally, that means my code base sees this, but the end user does not see that. So this allows me to serve different responses to same people visiting the same path, right? So once we do some sort of thing like this logic, this dynamic logic of country can automatically kick in, and we can use it just to generate any other static page which we would have. Simple enough. But the cool thing about middlewares over here is that this runs in a separate runtime, at least for now, compared to this one. So this page over here, which you see, is a standard regular page, and when you are deploying this over vercel, or even if you're using it for on your EC2 or something, this would automatically be a node based runtime. This would use a node based runtime engine for rendering the page and resolving the imports and everything. The middleware, however, because it is an edge function, because this does not use lambdas or things like that, even in case of vercel, it uses Cloudflare workers. This is not running in a node based environment. That means this is running in a much more constrained environment, which allows you to have a lot more advantages, rather, not a few advantages. That is, first of all, no cold boots. You have super fast functions running. You have to respond to these function calls within a second, or 1.5 seconds. There's a limit to that, and so on. So these functions have to be super fast, right? Because these functions are kind of intercepting every single request you throw at them. They have to be super fast, but at the same time, because these functions are not running inside a node-based environment, or they don't have to boot a fully node environment from scratch, these functions are extremely fast inherently, right? So they cut off a lot of cost which you would otherwise see with regular rendering of the pages. So in this example which we have, you can see that, let me just go back to the same page. You can see that it automatically detects that I'm from India and then offers me this flag. I can activate 10% purchasing power parity. Or if I go ahead and switch to, let's say, a US VPN over here, and if I refresh this page, you're gonna see that I immediately get a US flag. And if you take a look inside of the source code itself, you're gonna be seeing that this actually is a native, not exactly native, but this actually is a 100% pre-rendered response. But the good thing about this is that this is not a server-side generated response. It's still server-side. It's not a server-side rendered response. It's still a server-side generated response. So you can see over here, we have the page props country passed as US, parity as the percentage. And if I disable this over here, if I deactivate the VPN, and if I refresh this, you're gonna see, once I zoom in a little, we get the correct country again, right? So yeah, I mean, this is one of the examples, and vercel has a bunch of examples on how you can use DH functions. For example, one other thing which is interesting, it's very interesting, is A/B testing with vercel. So if we go ahead and take a look at, let's say, this marketing page over here. So I have this original page with me. I have this bucket, which is, a kind of like a way to just collect some of the users in a single bucket, then move on to the next one and so on, and then show them things accordingly. And the middleware over here, you can see that it gets a cookie or it gets the bucket and then redirects again based on URL to a specific page. Once that happens, we can, just like any other dynamic page in Next.js, we can use certain things, or certain A/B tests or certain different layouts for different people, and that will automatically be completely statically rendered, just like you would have any other static blog or static thing. And that's just amazing to have as a feature baked within your framework, so that you don't have to rely on third-party tools or scripts which load after your page has done loading for the A/B testing. But the biggest disadvantage of this, or not exactly disadvantage, the biggest problem with this is that this feature is like a very nice way for vercel to vendor lock you in to their platform, because edge functions and middlewares and everything, although they still run on Cloudflare workers natively, you would not get this nice of an experience if you're not using vercel. So my only two concerns, and not even concerns because I know that they are running a business, so they have to make money, and it's good in their interest to vendor lock in people, but the pricing is super weird. It's super weird. One of the biggest complaints I have with vercel for a long time is about their pricing. And second thing is that this feature in fact is a vendor lock-in. So if you start using middlewares, it'll be very hard for you to shift to, let's say, serverless Next.js with AWS or so on, right? So currently at codedamn, we don't use middlewares for the same reason, because this is a vendor lock-in feature and we are not even running on vercel at the moment. But yeah, I mean, if you have a small project, small things, you don't expect it to grow a lot, this is a great feature to have to experiment and, just to customize for your end users as well. So yep, that was a little bit of introduction plus technical side of things for vercel's Next.js new middleware functions. If you like this video, make sure you leave a like and subscribe to the channel. There's a lot more Next.js content coming up. That is all for this video. I'm gonna see you in the next one really soon.
If you're still watching this video, make sure you comment down in the comment section, I watched this video till the end. Also, if you're not part of codedamm's Discord community, you're missing out a lot on events which we organize on a weekly basis to code. You already know the drill. Make sure you like the video, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and thank you so much for watching.